My name is Liam. I've been driving for Uber for several years now, but what happened that night changed my profession and my peace of mind forever. It was last November. The fog was so thick that even the car's headlights were giving up. It was 2:42 a.m., the hour people call the devil's hour. I was just about to head home when my phone vibrated. The pickup location was Old St. Mary's Cemetery. My heart sank, but I was struggling financially at the time, so I accepted the ride. When I arrived, there was only a single yellow streetlight on the side of the road, flickering on and off. No one was visible. I thought maybe it was some kind of prank, and I was about to turn the car around when the back door slowly opened. The rear of the car dipped slightly, as if a heavy person had gotten in. I looked in the rearview mirror. A man was sitting there, wearing a completely black overcoat, an old hat on his head, and his face was completely hidden in shadow. He hadn't entered any destination. I asked, "Sir, where are you headed?" He didn't answer. He simply raised a cold, pale finger and pointed toward the dark road ahead. As the car moved forward, the temperature inside suddenly began to drop. I could see my breath turning into mist. I tried turning on the radio, but all that came through was a horrifying static sound. Suddenly, the man began to speak. His voice sounded like someone walking over dry leaves. He said, "Liam, have you ever wondered where people go after they die?" The hairs on my body stood up. He had said my name, even though I had never told him. Trembling, I replied, "No, sir. I've never thought about it." He let out a cold laugh and said, "They stay right here. We just choose not to see them." As soon as he said that, I saw the same man standing by the side of the road, the very one I had just picked up. I quickly turned around. The back seat was empty, but the car door was still closed. I looked ahead, and there he was again, standing in the middle of the road. I slammed on the brakes. The car stopped. The silence was so deep I could hear my own heartbeat. I looked back. He was sitting there again. He slowly lifted his face. He had no eyes, just two deep black hollow pits. He whispered, "There's something under your tires, Liam." I jumped out of the car like a madman and looked underneath. There was nothing there. But when I turned back around, the car was gone. I was standing alone on that deserted road. 10 minutes later, my car was found half a mile away, crashed into a tree. When the police checked the dashcam footage, it showed me driving alone and talking to myself. But in the last 3 seconds of the footage, a faint shadow could be seen in the back seat, staring directly into the camera and smiling. I was working the night shift as a security guard in a mall. The job was boring, just watching CCTV monitors. One Tuesday night around 1:15 a.m., I finished my shift. The basement parking, level B3, was completely empty. My old Honda Civic was standing there alone. But as I got closer, I noticed something strange. Tied to my car's side mirror was a shiny red balloon. It looked childish, but in that empty parking lot, the red color was glowing like blood. I looked around. No one was there. I removed the balloon, popped it, and got into the car. As soon as I turned the key, I heard a faint knock coming from the trunk. Knock, knock. I thought maybe an old bottle was rolling around. I reversed the car and drove out of the mall. On the way, I felt as if someone was watching me from underneath the back seat. The feeling was so intense that my hands started shaking. Just then, my phone rang. It was a message from an unknown number. The message contained a photo of me, taken exactly 10 seconds earlier through the rear window of my car. The message read, "Did you read the note inside the balloon?" I immediately stopped the car and looked at the remains of the popped balloon. There was a small piece of paper that said, "Don't look back." At that very moment, I felt someone's cold breath on my neck. Gathering courage, I looked into the rearview mirror. From underneath the back seat, 2 pairs of yellow eyes were staring at me. It did not look human. I screamed, opened the door, and ran outside. I didn't look back and went straight to the police station. When the police searched my car, they found a sleeping bag under the back seat that had been there for several days. There were some drugs and several photographs of me. taken while I was sleeping, but that person or thing was not there. The police found a small hole inside the trunk that opened directly toward the back seat. That man had been living in my car with me for months, and I never even realized it. Even today, whenever I open my car door, the first thing I do is check under the back seat, because I know that red balloon was just a sign that he will never leave me. Sarah is a 28-year-old child psychologist who works with issues related to children's mental health. From an old client's house, she receives a vintage music box that was designed to calm children. But inside it, an entirely different world is trapped. My name is Sarah. I understand the mental state of children. I know how to calm them, but that music box showed me something that isn't written in any book. This happened last month. I had gone to a client's house. The little girl couldn't sleep at night and used to say strange things. Her grandmother gave me an old wooden music box. The grandmother said, "This box has been in our family for generations. When children cried, we used to play it." The box looked beautiful. There was a small ballerina figure on it. I took it and played it in front of the little girl. As soon as the box opened, a soft, melodious lullaby began to play. A strange silence filled the room. The child, who had been crying just moments ago, calmed down and fell asleep. I thought, this is truly an amazing thing. That night, I brought the box home with me. Around midnight, I was working on something, when suddenly the box began to play on its own. The lullaby was playing, but this time there was sadness in it. I tried to close it, but it wouldn't stop. I thought it was old, so maybe it had some malfunction. Then, in the middle of the lullaby, I heard the faint, crying voice of a little girl. "Mom, don't leave me alone." The hairs on my body stood up. I recorded the box on my phone. The voice came again, this time a little clearer. "It's dark, Mom." The next night, I listened to the recording again. This time, along with the lullaby, there was another sound, a soft rustling noise, like someone breathing. Just then, in the corner of my living room, I saw a small, blurry shadow. It looked like a little girl slowly moving toward me. As soon as I blinked, it disappeared. I immediately examined the music box. On the bottom, there was a small hidden compartment. When I opened it, inside was a dried yellowed flower and a small note. On the note, written in childlike handwriting, it said, "My name is Lily. I love music." As soon as I read that note, the lullaby coming from the music box suddenly became louder. The lights in the room began to flicker. Lily's voice was now clearly audible, and she was laughing. "You can see me, can't you?" she asked, and the shadow began to take shape again. This time, it was even denser. Her tiny hands were reaching toward me. I was about to scream and throw the box onto the ground when I remembered that Lily had said, "Don't leave me alone." I felt that the little girl was trapped inside that box. I picked the box back up and held it close to my chest. The lights in the room became steady. The shadow grew calm, and the lullaby slowly faded away. Lily's voice came again, but this time she sounded happy. "Thank you, Mom." Even today, sometimes at midnight, I hear a soft lullaby coming from my bedroom. I cannot throw that box away, because I'm afraid that if I leave her alone again, Lily will return to that same darkness. Jake and Priya are college friends, and they are obsessed with an online multiplayer horror game called The Abyss. They thought it was just a game, until one of its characters began peeking into their real lives. Our gaming session always started at 10 p.m. The Abyss was an online horror game where the four of us formed a team to survive ghosts. In that game, there was an NPC, a non-player character named the Watcher. His job was to track players in the game and suddenly appear in front of them to scare them. One night, we were playing the game. Aryan was screen sharing with me. In the game, the Watcher usually never looked directly in our direction, but that night, when he passed near our character, his neck rotated 180 degrees and his empty eyes stared directly toward our screen. We started laughing. "Ha ha, it's just a game bug." But the next morning, when I opened my laptop, there was a new folder on my desktop named Watched. Inside it was a photo the exact same photo as my desktop background, but in that image, my chair was empty. And from the window behind it, a dark shadow was peeking inside. The hairs on my body stood up, but I thought maybe one of my friends was playing a prank. In the next gaming session, the three of us, Aryan, Priya, and I, were together. In the game, the Watcher's movements and hints had become extremely precise. He always appeared exactly where we were about to go. From Aryan's mic, a strange rustling sound was coming. We asked him, "What's wrong?" He said, "I don't know, maybe the connection." That night, when I was alone, I noticed the small light of my webcam blinking, even though I had not turned it on. I immediately covered it with tape. The next day at college, Priya showed me a strange note. In Aryan's handwriting it said, "You can't hide. I am watching everything." But when Priya asked Aryan, he swore he had not written anything like that. That night, the three of us came online, but we did not start the game. Aryan said, "Guys, my home Wi-Fi just got disconnected." Suddenly, his webcam light turned on. On his screen, only an empty room was visible. But right behind him, on his empty chair, the Watcher was sitting, and his head was slowly turning toward us. Aryan screamed. Suddenly, lines began appearing across his screen, and with a loud sound, the screen cracked, as if something from inside was breaking it. We immediately called the police. When they reached Aryan's house, his laptop was completely shattered, and Aryan was lying there unconscious. There were light scratch marks on his neck. The police found nothing inside the house, but from his laptop's hard drive they recovered a strange file. It contained only one image, the Watcher, staring directly toward us with his empty eyes and blood dripping from his mouth. Even today, none of us dare to play that game again. Whenever I see a game loading screen, I feel like the Watcher is watching me from there, waiting for my next move.